Carbs are bad for you. If you've heard that before, you're not alone. But science tells a much more nuanced story because the real question isn't, are carbs bad? It's, what kind of carbs are we talking about? The myth is that all carbohydrates are unhealthy and should be minimized in your diet. The reality is that carbohydrate quality matters far more than simply cutting out carbs. Carbohydrates are one of the body's primary sources of energy. They're found in foods like grains, fruits, vegetables, legumes, dairy, and also added sugars. When we eat carbohydrates, the body breaks them down into glucose, which our cells use for energy, especially the brain, which relies heavily on glucose for function. So carbohydrates themselves are not inherently harmful. What matters most is the type and the level of processing. Whole grains keep their natural fiber structure, which helps create slower, steadier blood sugar responses. But refined carbohydrates, even if technically complex, often lose much of that protective fiber during processing. Research shows that the people who ate the most dietary fiber, not fiber supplements, had about a 15 to 30% lower risk of dying from conditions like heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers. The target is around 25 to 29 grams of fiber per day, though higher intake may offer additional benefit. What about low-carb diets? Low-carb diets can absolutely help with short-term weight loss and blood sugar control. But long-term research tells a more complicated story. Large population studies following hundreds of thousands of people found that those eating very low carbohydrate diets had about a 22% higher risk of death from any cause, with particularly increased risk for heart disease. Now, there's an important twist. Not all low-carb diets are the same. Diets low in carbohydrates but high in saturated fats and animal proteins showed the worst outcomes, while plant-focused low-carb patterns with foods like nuts, seeds, olive oil, and avocados, they actually showed significantly better results. When researchers look at the full picture, carbohydrate intake follows what we call a U-shaped curve. Both extremes appear problematic. Very low carbohydrate intake and very high intake are both associated with higher risk. The lowest risk tends to occur around moderate intake, roughly 50 to 55% of calories from carbohydrates, and the quality matters far, far more than elimination. Instead of fearing carbs, focus on whole grains, fiber-rich foods, minimally processed carbohydrates, and balanced dietary patterns. Stay informed, be empowered, and live well.